So we are ready to call the Committee of Whole Council meeting for October 6th to order, and welcome everyone. As always, we're going to start with the acknowledgement of treaties of peace and friendship. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Wolastoqiyik, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. Thank you. Walalam. Next is the oath of office. We do hereby accept the office of council and will diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharge to the best of our ability the duties of the office as may be imposed upon us by law. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes?
I'd like to have an addition for recognition.
Okay, so we've got a recognition that we wish to add. Any others? If not, can we get a motion to adopt the agenda with the amendment?
M 2025-1006-106, that the agenda be adopted with the changes.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second it.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passed. If we have any statements of conflict of interest, please register with CAO Lee. Under presentations, petitions, and delegations, we do have a presentation tonight. It's concerning transportation, and Jocelyn Hashi from the Chaleur Regional Service Commission would like to introduce our presenters. Ms. Hashi.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for receiving us this evening. So I'd like to start off just by giving you just a general quick overview of the work that the RSC has been doing since the reform from January 2023. So as you may probably are aware, one of our new mandates is to implement the regional transportation within the Chaleur Region territory. And what we're doing currently, as mentioned at, I believe it was already a couple of weeks ago, the meeting that I came to present the budget, we do currently offer what's called a dial-a-ride service. That service is very busy. We do accompany a lot of citizens that need to go to their appointments and whatnot. However, that system is based on the volunteers. And because we need a lot of volunteers, and it's very difficult to find volunteers, that service is limited. So the other step to optimize the transportation service within the region would be to implement a transit system like a bus system. So we've been working since January of 2023, we've been looking at various options. The City of Bathurst and Belle Bay were first very interested in implementing it sooner rather than later. And we did a lot of analysis in 2023, and we looked at different types of levels of service and proposals that we did towards Bathurst and Belle Bay. And for now, as of this year, Bathurst wanted for us to implement the service as soon as possible. So it was sort of like a good thing in a way, because it enabled us to implement the service in phases. So it will be implemented in Bathurst as of January 2026. And now, tonight is our first opportunity to come and speak a little bit on this transportation service, because I believe it's your first presentation that you ever received. So this evening, we're not forcing you to take on a transportation service like as of tomorrow. We'd like to more or less introduce you what the service could mean for Belledune, They'll talk about numbers, but we're not going to go in details because we'll wait and see. We'll speak again throughout the upcoming year because this is something that might be implemented in 2027 or 2028. So the work that we've been doing, we were going to implement it, and then we already had the RSC in the peninsula that had already implemented a portion of their service, and also in Northwest. So the people that I'd like to introduce this evening, we have Mélanie Ruet. She's the Regional Development Director for the Northwest RSC. And we also have Olivier Baril. He's the Transit Consultant for the Northwest RSC. And through the conversations that we had, we noticed that we had a lot of opportunities to benefit even more so, even though we do benefit on cost savings through RSCs because we share costs, but we can share even more costs if we share a lot of overhead with other RSCs. So this is what that we'll be implementing in Bathurst. So it'll be hosted by the Schiller RSC, but outsourced through the Northwest RSC. So without further ado, I'd like to present Mélanie and Olivier.
Just before you start, I just wanted to mention, I failed to mention Jocelyn's position at the Service Commission. She's the Executive Director of the Schiller Regional Service Commission, so appreciate that.
Okay, so we can start the presentation. So as Jocelyn mentioned, my name is Mélanie Ruest. I'm here today to explain a little bit where we started with FlexGo. And as you can hear, I have an accent. I'm Francophone, so I'm going to twist my tongue to speak to you in English, but this guy there will be the expert in English and in transportation. So thank you very much, and we are pleased to be here today to talk about what we've accomplished so far and where we could take FlexGo in the eventuality that you would jump in the bus with the other cities. So without further on, and I want to tell you that normally that presentation takes a longer time. So usually we do it in 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. We will try to do it a little in less time, but we don't want to skip things. So please be sure if you have questions, stop us. We will answer them and we will go further on. So we'll talk about FlexGo. We'll talk about the phase that we already are on, have on the go. Olivier will be talking about the operational stats. We will talk about the return on the experience we've had so far. We will talk about the agile mode and the reservation period, so you understand where we are going further on in the presentation. A little urban myths that we need to rectify. Financial, we will talk about the different scenario, different subsidy that exists. And then we will talk about what could resemble the service you guys could receive if we were to go on phase 5. Then the cost modeling, we might not go through that tonight because this is the really heaviest part, but we could show you what it resembles so you understand that we know what we're doing with the modeling that we will offer, and then we could take some question. So FlexGo has started in February this year. So we are currently on our 9th month, and it's been wonderful so far. So we've had a study made in 2023 by Vector 5, and that study told us that what model we should explore with the transportation. And as we were going along with what they were suggesting, I kind of was scared because I have never worked in transportation. So at one point we decided to maybe think about outsourcing FlexGo to a company that were more aligned with transportation. This is where that guy came into my life. So after a while, we offered him a job, and he decided to move in Edmundston and to be the person that would start FlexGo with us. With him on our board, we've implemented FlexGo. We started it, and we have remarkable results. So without going into the results, you can see on the board there, we do not have buses like Bathurst will be acquiring soon. We have a big bus that does a fixed route from Edmundston to Omadawaska. And then we have the taxi buses that goes through the city of Edmundston. So this is different service. Taxi buses is on reservation, and it's post to post, and it's more flexible for the service. The fixed bus route goes through a schedule, and you don't have to reserve. When the bus passes, if you're there at the post, you hop on and you hop off. So it's less flexible, but it covers the longest territory. And then we have the FlexGo Plus. Plus is for the person with mobility issues. So we are equipped to transport these person too. So I think I'm gonna leave that part to Olivier for now.
All right, so before we go into the stats, to give you a bit of an example, so we have two services. We use the fixed route service for Edmundston to St. Francois. It's about an hour and 27-minute run, so it's a more extended territory, 65 stops on each side of the road. That's the yellow line that you see at the bottom. So we've had about 300 people a month, give or take the service since. It's popular in a way that it would be really hard to run that kind of a distance with a different system, but obviously, and you can see from the lines, not as popular from our other service. So we've updated, this was July, but to give you an example, as of the end of September, we've transported 24,000 people as a whole with FlexGo. Population of phase one is 18,000. So give you an example of how big it's been successful. We have about 20,000 that are using the taxi bus service compared to about 1,000 so far into the fixed bus, 1,200 give or take. So a bit of a difference in two systems. What's a taxi bus? I got to give you a bit of a background. Started in Alberta with Cochrane, city next to Calgary. Basically, instead of running loops, empty loops all day long, they wanted to reduce costs. They introduced the on-demand service. Basically, works like a Uber, but for bus. So we do public transportation. You pick up multiple people that are heading to the same direction. The goal is that you're not running loops and loops and loops, and it reduce costs. Became very popular. They tripled their utilization within a couple months, obviously, and then the model was used across the country more and more. It's used in different ways. For example, in bigger cities, they will use it as a first and last mile option, where basically they will cover areas that are farther from the center to reduce costs. They use it as a prior and after peak service, so 4 in the morning to 7, 8 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning, again with the optic to reduce costs. So we took that and looked at it as an implementation for more rural areas, people with less dense population, and it's been really, really popular. So how does it work? In Edmundston, it works on a post-to-post. So we put 220 posts in the city, and basically you go, unless you're really in rural areas, you have to walk about 500 meters max. And you get to the stop, and you order. An hour before, you say, I want to go from this place to this place. We come and pick you up and bring you from this place to this place. Yes, you might have other people pick up with you along the way, but you know exactly what time you're the latest to arrive. So if you have an exam at school, you have an appointment at work, I need to arrive by that time, you can pick to arrive by that time. Now, you're going to change life. It's important to be reliable, because you don't change people's habit without being reliable. So in over 24,000 trips so far are on-time performance. And what's on time before I go on the percentage is that we are, at the time that we said we were going to be there within 5 minutes, is 99.38. So 99%, 0.38, really important. We're there on time. So that's key, and that's key to our success because people started using it. When we started, we thought, oh, people are going to use it to go to school. People are going to use it to go to the hospital. And of course that has happened. But what has happened a lot more is a lot more senior people have used it in order to go for coffee, in order to meet with their family members, in order to go hairdresser and so on. So we created a lot more utilization. There's been apartment buildings that are further from the core of town now that has been developed because they have a mean to transport people towards the city. So a lot more user than we expected. We look at similar towns or even towns with 40,000 population in Ontario will do about 50, 60 trips a day. We're currently running 235 trips a day. So in a much smaller population, there's much more interest. Now, what's different from a regular bus service? Well, you call it when you need it. It doesn't have to be every half hour or every hour. If you want to leave at 9:35, well, you request 9:35. The only request is that you order at least an hour prior. So that's been a very successful stats. Other KPIs, and they're public numbers. So, for example, when we plan on ticket sales, we said, oh, well, you know, we're hoping to sell $69,000 worth of ticket. 9 months in, we've already surpassed 134,000. So a lot more population. What else we didn't expect in numbers? Because numbers tells you a bit of a story, right? So let's talk about corporate tickets. We didn't think that corporation would jump in. 31% of our sales are corporate. So they could be the casino, for example, in our example, that bought tickets for their employees, for their customers, bars, hospitals, government service to bring to daycares, stuff like that. So it's been very popular in the corporate world too, which has helped with the sale, obviously. So basically, to put the project in a bit of a perspective, we had 3 cars when we started plus the bus, and we're now at 4 in the bus, but transported over 24,000 people with that equipment already. So pretty impressive in terms of numbers and pretty impressive in terms of on-time performance. And what we're seeing is people, new people, buying membership, buying weekly, monthly membership. So it keeps going, it keeps being more and more utilized. So that's a bit of the numbers.
What about can we talk about how much it costs? Because right now we told you 25,000 people. We told you about 135,000 sales tickets. So I want to implement that emphasis that it's really affordable. So right now it's $5 per ride. Either you go from Edmonton to Edmonton or Edmonton to Saint Francois. Within the area, it's $5 for a regular customer. Students and seniors are at $4, and they can buy they can buy passes for the month, for the all months, and it would be $75 for the student and $100 for the full pass. So imagine for a month traveling to work from one part of the CSR RSC to the other one for $100, and you can go as many times as you'd like. So this is really affordable because we want people to be able to pay for it.
Any questions on that before we move on? No? Okay. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, return on experience. So just some feedback on what we've seen so far. Obviously, you saw the stats. The on-demand service, way more popular than the traditional service. Again, it's a mix of both. We couldn't necessarily run the on-demand on really extended periods, so we're going to present an hybrid solution. We did post-to-post in Edmundston. If we were to restart, that decision was made a long time ago prior to my arrival, but the thing with stops is you have to remove the snow, you have to make sure they're not broken, there's some maintenance area to do that. So now all the other faces are door-to-door service. There's not really any additional cost, and the customer like it better, so they get picked up right from their home. So it's a little faster in terms of that. I think the original study, while they were pretty thorough, they didn't necessarily go with the businesses around, and the financial model is really based on the private and business community to be involved in the service. So really talking to them, understanding what's their shift, what's their need, where we need to bring people. And we'll talk about it a little bit in phase 2 and 3 when we go and cover that. And well, marketing is our favorite subject, so.
Yeah, well, when we started FlexGo, one thing we didn't cut, one cost we didn't cut is marketing. So it was important that the name was branded and the communication plan was made and everything. So this is part of the reason why you will, if you decide to join in with FlexGo like Bathurst did, well, you won't have to pay for that cost because it's already been made. So we will kind of give you the brand name and give you the look of FlexGo.
All right. So again, to understand, it's a lot about saving costs, transportation costs money, and now we want to give you some option on how to save some money. So a lot of what we implemented is the agile mode. What's an agile mode is that basically, depending of how big the territory that we're covering, we're going to extend the reservation period. So I said 1 hour, for example, in Edmonton, and it will be 1 hour in Bathurst. I have 24-hour reservation in places like Grand Falls, for example. Why? Provide me the ability to cover the same territory with less vehicles, right? Cost cheaper. What's the agile mode too is that we have two pay modes with our drivers. We have a pay mode when they have customers, and we have a pay mode when they're in standby, which are allowed to return home with the vehicle, right? So a lot of people are attracted to that and obviously save a lot of money. Why I want to talk to you about this when we get to numbers, maybe another time, the numbers that we present are always the worst case scenario. Realistically, with the hours that we don't use, you save money at the end, obviously. And flexibility versus cost, well, I explained that in more dense territory, we'll offer a shorter reservation, and in more bigger, vast territories, we'll go and extend the reservation time to reduce costs. So that's a bit of the flexibility versus the cost. Want to do the myths?
Yeah. Well, these are the myths that we've heard so far while doing our business. So we've heard people say if we operate with less service, it will reduce costs. That's not true. If we decide on, let's say, just giving rides Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, well, people won't get rid of their car and use that service. So we need to be scheduled. We need to be there for their need in order for them to change their habits. So you want to put something else?
No, absolutely. Like, so a lot of the time I meet with cities, and I've been doing that for a very long time, and I meet with cities and they're like, okay, well, we can't afford that, so let's give a service like twice a week. We'll go to Bathurst or to Campbellton, for example. That doesn't change people's habit. And in order for them to use the service, it's got to be frequent, it's got to be there all the time, and it's got to be reliable, and it's got to be cheap. So often the way to get more people to actually use the service, get more money from the government, is to actually offer more service versus trying to reduce the service in order to try to reduce the cost. Because what happens with a lot of the service in more rural communities is they start a service, nobody takes it, and what happens is a few years down the line it dies, right? So the idea is to change that. We really need to make sure that service fills the requirement and is frequent.
So the number 2 would be with brand new buses, we will have less maintenance. That's not necessarily true, because brand new buses or brand new vehicle needs to be run to be tweaked after that. Yeah. So we've seen it. We have brand new buses, but we also decided to get ourselves a second-hand a used bus. So and you know, we don't have to wait for the guarantee, for the warranty with the used bus. So
yeah, the next one is with fixed route, we don't need a dispatch. So what's hard with little towns, and this is why we're coming with that, is that every town that wants to start a service needs the same requirement. That you have 5 buses or 20, you have the same requirement. You need a dispatcher to answer the phone and to talk to the drivers. You need the same setting, you need the supervision, you need the same thing. So what we're presenting is something that is more a regional proposal where we're able to share some services. So for example, technology in the dispatch world has opened a lot of ways where we can use what we call PTT radios, which are radios that use LTE systems, and we're able to dispatch from a central, let's say in Edmonton, for the entire province. A lot of big companies actually do it from Calgary for the country. So that each dispatcher can usually manage 22, 23 vehicles. So instead of each having a dispatcher in every little city, like now we're able to join and have a dispatch center. So a lot of the shared cost to this is really helping in making this affordable, along with some of the subsidy that are currently available, and that we'll go through in a few seconds.
And then when we talk about buying buses, we think about the price of the bus. So this is not the only thing that needs to be put in a bus. We need GPS, we need cameras, we need the radios, we need a lot of different things that really cost money. So it needs to be really thought before we apply for the subsidy.
Okay, so before I go to financial, just want to talk about the phases. So we started phase 1, we talked about it. Edmundston was phase 1. Phase 2 starting in January, it's Grand Falls, Vallée des Rivières, Grand Falls, and St. Quentin, and Kedrick that are going through phase 2. Phase 3 is actually starting in January, and it's Bathurst. And then we have phase 4 that's also on the go. We're in the process of being finalized, which is in CSR Restigouche and Campbellton, which will go all the way here. Okay, so their transportation will start from Kedgwick all the way to here. So we have a nice few phases that are already on the go, again, to share resources and knowledge, and that's the idea behind it.
About financial, we also wanted to touch how it's going to be the subsidies that exist.
Yep.
So,
Did I?
No,
Oh,
it's-
you didn't put it
yeah.
there? Okay. So, all right, so financial. So there's a few cool programs that are actually on the go right now from the federal government. So Infrastructure Canada will pay 80%, if go through the process of approval, of course, but we'll pay 80% of all initial costs. So buses, equipment for buses, anything that goes along, winter tires, warranties, all the startup equipment fees are covered at 80% through that. After that, the SDR, and I'm looking for the English name. RDC, thank you. The RDC is actually covering 10% too of startup fee. So 90% of all the equipment, and let's face it, what costs a lot of money starting buses is to buy the buses, right? So 90% of those costs currently are covered under the program. And that's the same program we've utilized in all phases that have been gone through the process. After that, the RDC proposed a 3 years operational subsidy. So year 1, 40% of all operation costs is covered. Year 2, 30%. Year 3, 20%. Of course, we're negotiating to try to make the 40 all 3 years. That makes sense, but it is currently what's set up in there. The idea is to help start. Okay, so that's a key point. So what's the financial? The financials are covered through 4 different sources of income. So we're going and starting with, obviously, the riders. We told you we sold, for example, in Edmonton, about $134,000 worth of ticket, okay? So that's a portion of the cost, or the revenue. Then after that, we have the subsidy revenue, the operational subsidy, and obviously the infrastructure subsidy. After that, we have partnerships. What's the partnerships? We team up with local businesses and local entities for that may help bring employees. Some of the businesses actually uses it as an HR recruitment tool because they're able to bring people. So let's say you had a business like the port, for example, you need to bring people. You can bring people from Campbellton. You can bring people from Bathurst. That's the idea, right? So we team up with some of the businesses around there to finalize that. Lots of big businesses have joined, and it helps pay for that. We also have revenue from advertising. That's on the buses and also on bus shelters. Now we're like, okay, bus shelters, it's pretty spaced out. Why do we need bus shelters? Well, with the infrastructure paid at 90%, your bus shelter is actually pretty cheap, and you can put publicity on it for the entire year, and you're going to cover and have actually revenue from it. So that's an example.
Could I ask a question on that?
Of course, go for it.
How long is all of that amortized over?
Yeah, it's like the equipment or like in general, like
Yeah, like, I mean, you've got a global
Yeah.
expense.
Yeah.
So it'll all have to be financed.
correct.
So
that's the question.
that is amortized over,
Yep. So the original cost currently, the subsidy that's going on is they haven't put a date. They used to put a date originally saying you have to have your order by this date. They've extended to, there's no particular close date. So it's open. We go as long as you put your demand before the program is closed. So that's the original cost of everything you buy, a one-time deal. But after that, you're correct. You need to replace this equipment. So in the financial, we also have a depreciation methodology in which 5 to 6 years from now, we're able to rebuy this equipment, putting aside money every single time. The key point is, of course, you need the initial financing. And I think where your question is really key is, we need to make sure that we're there before this program goes away, right? Because without that 90%, the costs are extremely high for sure. So that's a bit of the financial program. And then the last piece, we talked about corporate sales, we talked about advertising, and we talked about sales revenue. And then finally, we have contributions from RSCs and the different municipalities that are there to cover the variance. And that's how we manage the package as a whole. All right. This is a vision. This is a vision of what this could be, but it's a start. To understand is that we have to talk with your businesses and understand what they need. We have to talk with your citizens, understand what would make them. But here in the area, what is a proposed system for now. So we would have a connector that would start from Bathurst, go all the way here at least twice a day. Could be a different day. We'll work on the schedule in terms of that. We then have a panel service. What's a panel service? So in the municipalities along the way, Bilbay, Bildoon, and so on, we have taxi bus service. So within that service, you're able to go anywhere within the town and the next towns over, just not all the way to Bathurst. You need to take the connector to do that. So again, $5. Also what's interesting with that panel service and why it's called a panel is if you live a little more remote to the main line, the taxi bus will take you to the main line and then you can take the connector. Same $5. You get a transfer. You don't have to pay $5 twice. So you're literally able to go from your house to the connector or to anywhere in town or elsewhere. So you promote movement within the town to your municipal facilities and so on. So the panel service with a connector, we use a taxi bus service where we would share vehicles between here and Bilbay and basically have a 24-hour reservation. Again, I talked about bigger territory. So we're able to do that with less vehicle because we know exactly where the runs are going to be the next day. So the only thing that we ask is people reserve 24 hours in advance. You can reserve up to 7 days in advance if you're going to use it every day, for example. But the minimum is 24 hours so that we can pre-set the routes. We use agile mode, talk about it a little earlier, where when there is no calls for the drivers or I can fit everything in 2 cars instead of 3 while the other one is sitting at home on standby and obviously paid at a different rate, and we're saving on mileages and so on. Office hours of service, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Monday in the morning starts at 5:15 a.m., goes to 2000. On Thursday and Friday goes to 2200. Starts at 5:15 a.m. too. And on Saturday, 6:30 to 6:30. Again, because you're what we call a border town, you'd have the service going towards Campbellton all the way to Kedgwick, or you'd have the service going the other way to Bathurst. You really have both options in terms of the system. That basically covers over 10,000 hours of service a year. Again, calculating all hours, but with the agile mode, if we don't need them, we do that. Reduce cost of services. So what's cost reduce? So all the dispatch team is one dispatch team that is not only split between you, it would be split between Edmundston, Grand Falls, it's split with Campbellton, it's split with Bathurst. So everybody picking a little piece and basically making that cost very, very affordable. The app, which is the on-demand app, which usually is quite expensive. Again, we're splitting because it's the same branding. We don't have to redo an app. And also supervisors, director of service, mobile supervisors, myself, all that is included in the package in terms of shared services, which, if that was not the case, be very expensive again. So the idea to reduce costs. We're going to go through the cost model another time because I think that'd be a pretty deep subject. But just to tell you a little bit what goes into the cost model, everything that we do is local and meant to be local. So, for example, we wash the unit locally. We get 3 quotes from everybody during the cost model. We make sure that you're processing for your authorization for your subsidy. We go through that with you guys. And then we also put together total hours. We have a scale for drivers. We do an HR study in the area, which has already been done. That tells us, what should be the pricing for driver wages and so on to remain competitive. And all that information is built into a massive spreadsheet, which gives us our cost modeling, which we can cover at another time. And then I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, well, we were, as a closing slide, one name, one image, one services. You see if everybody does the same service everywhere and it's all different name, all different services, it doesn't look united. So with that, with FlexGo being all over the north of the province, we have the power to negotiate with the government to have subsidies further on. We also put ourselves on a, we build our name and we build our credibility, and we will we will assure the future of FlexGo and the future of the service. Because we even though we talk about the 3-year plans, our plan is not to be done in 3 years. It's just that Infrastructure Canada asked us to have a plan for 3 years, but we plan on being there in 20 years from now. And like I said everywhere else, the price of not going further with transportation might slow down your development, the development of every city, because we have newcomers that comes here. We have a population that is growing in age, and the cost, let's say it, the cost of driving a car is really, really expensive these days. So trying to put a service here and everywhere, that kind of service will benefit everyone. But right now, we are not presenting numbers. We have numbers already. We could have showed you that, but right now, the reason why we are here is to explore if it's something that you would like. And after that, we will sit together and we will define what service you would like to have. And we will build a service that will respond to what your need is and what we can afford.
Yeah, I think that's the key point. We talk about stats. I kept that one for the last. One thing is, in order for cities to be able to continue with the service, we have to be on budget. I think we've all heard where transportation is costing way more. To give you an example, on a $1.3 million budget on various phases so far, we're at 98.9% on budget, so a little below budget actually, which just to show the effort that was made into being precise and saying, hey, we're going to ask you this once, we're not going to come back and keep asking you for different money. So knowing where it starts. The other thing is, having done a presentation like this for a very long time, I think that a lot of I meet with some of the communities and they say, well, we all have cars and we don't need it. That's the biggest urban myth out of them all. Kids want to work. Teenagers want to work. We have people that are now, for example, looking at apartments in St. Anne because they can get to Edmundston and it's way cheaper than actually going into town. We're expanding people. We had daycares that open at the other end of town that wouldn't even been a possibility before, that have been filled in 2 days because they now have transportation to go. We have businesses like grocery stores that have said, hey, come take the bus to shop at a grocery store. We'll deliver for you as part of that. Businesses are adapting, and actually people are using it at a crazy, crazy volume. So in one town, we already have 24,000 that used it in 9 months. When all 5 phases are there, we're talking over 100,000 people moving on a yearly basis. So it's a huge movement, and there's lots of advantages, and it's on both sides of you right now. So we just want to see if we can combine that and go both ways. So as like a very quick version of this, but I don't know if you have any questions.
We
or
almost
anything.
made it in half an hour. Yes.
Thank you for that. No, I just wanted to ask if anyone on council had a question or observation.
I do, Your Worship, if I may. So are you looking for financial aid from Beldoon? Is there a startup cost involved for our community? Is that involved?
It's a good question. So for now, the first phase is there an interest? Because there's no point in going forward if you believe there's no interest. Yes, there's a municipal contribution to all the cities that are there. It varies, meaning that, for example, in this phase 5, we're talking about Beldoon, Belle Bay, for example, in areas. Well, this is share, obviously. It's not one place that pays it all. There's an operational contribution and the 10% that we talked that's left from the immobilization that are shared to that, and the RSC too. So the RSC also has a contribution to that point.
Is that annually or just a startup?
You can answer
Okay.
that.
So the startup is first year only. So that 10% is first year only. After that, the remaining costs are operational only.
So the way it would work, let's say in 2027 or 2028, you'd be interested. We would come back and show you what potential costs it could mean for Beldoon. And then we would incorporate that within our RSC budget. So let's pretend you want to implement it in 2027. Well, I would come here in the fall and present the budget, and it would include your portion of Beldoon for the bus system for, let's say you wanted to implement sometime in January. This is an example for 2027. So you have all the funding that Olivier mentioned, but you also have RSSF funds, so your regional service delivery funds that can also be applied to your operational costs.
So that cost, is it calculated based on population, tax base?
50% fiscal plate and 50% population for the weigh-in, and then it gives a percentage which is applied to the remaining cost once all the subsidies has been applied, the RSC contributions have been applied, there's this much left, there's this many municipalities, and this is the percentage in which they share that cost. And it's extreme, like we didn't want to take an hour and a half, but I'm a numbers guy. It's extremely precise. We take a lot of time in doing
And
it.
before we go into numbers and we talk about what could it cost, we need to know what's the extent of the service that you would like to have. So we will have probably 1 or 2 work session with you guys, and probably with Belbé too. And then moving forward, we will adjust the model, financial model, and then we could really present you the numbers that you'd have to accept.
Like, to give you an example, like when we're talking work session, so you saw minivans. I could say, you could buy minivans, be $70,000 with the warranties and everything that goes with it. Or you could buy a 14-passenger bus for $180. But hey, you're paid 90%, the asset remains yours, the minivan is done after $350, a bus will go to $750,000 kilometers. So taking all these in consideration, saying, okay, to what level do we want to go? And okay, we can offer 1 bus instead of 3 buses in the area. So of course I've planned for a system, and I'm going to show you the numbers of what that looks like. And after working together, we're saying, okay, so is that too much? Is that not enough? Am I not covering something? Maybe Saturday night's a big deal in this area, and we have to be more there. So we're going to tweak it together, and we play with the model, and get the end, like I said, for example, fall, usually a month before or so, we end up in saying, hey, this is the cost. What do you think? Does that look like? And it's not a surprise, because by then we've worked a couple of sessions together. Any other questions?
I want to take time to say thank you. It's a very good presentation. It was a quick presentation, but there was a lot of information there, and there's a lot of us for this to think. I think it's a good project, a good thing for sure for the community, especially with, the aging community that we have here in Beldoon. So thank you very much for your time. It was a very good session, even though we only got the mini one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just had a quick observation and a quick question. In 2016, when I first came on council, we didn't have a transportation system at all for our people. We'd had a shuttle that wasn't in operation anymore. And so I was given that file, and we found a bus from the Aquatic Center that would come up once a week. And eventually that fizzled out, but I think it fizzled out because there wasn't a plan. So I do believe that for small rural areas, it can work. It just needs to be organized more than we were. Did have a question though about what are the first things you mentioned about financials, and maybe I misunderstood, but if I did, you can correct me. So Beldoon would come under, we're always a bordering community with Restigouche, Gloucester, Chaleur, Gloucester. So in this case, at first it sounded like I thought I heard we would come under the umbrella of Restigouche. Was that correct?
It's not correct and it's not incorrect. So here's the answer. I'm going to use Kedgwick as an example just because there are the other border towns. So Kedgwick is the border town to the Grand Falls Phase 2, and they're also in the Restigouche Part 2. So the people there, when we started talking to businesses down there, well, they have people that are in St. Quentin going to Kedgwick and vice versa, right? So we had people needing to go that way and people going to the other way. So We do have a very small portion of phase 2 costs that are linked to the city of Kedgewick, and they do have a percentage with their fiscal plates of phase 3. That's what they decided because they wanted access to both systems, right? So basically anybody living there can take a bus and go all the way to Edmundston or all the way to Campbellton, well, all the way here at the end of what the phase will be. So here's the same situation where basically at this point in time, you could go all the way to Kedgewick or Campbellton as part of that phase, or you could go all the way to Bathurst. Now you have the choice. Do you want to be part of both, or the need assistance is only going one way? The reason I'm offering both, and I think it's interesting for both, is for very minimal costs in comparison, because that cost of that other phase is already covered by the other municipalities. You're able to get service and bring in people that are going to be workers or that want to live here in order to go work down there. So border towns have the option to either say, I want to be part of both phases, or I only want to be part of one. So that's communication as part
Because
of
that was my next, because would that necessarily mean that a duplication of costs?
Not necessarily. There's a small fee for that, like a really small one, but it's not, you don't pay twice for everything.
Yeah, we take in consideration that component, so the price is really close to one another. To give ideas, like we're talking in the range of below $15,000 a year for the access to the other phase. Okay. So that's depending of the exact service, obviously, but just to give you a range of ideas. So it's really an option.
And the geographical situation is not the same. Saint-Quentin and Kedgewick are really close by, and a lot of people work from one place to the other one. Here, I think there's not two cities really close by, so it might not be that useful to you guys, but you'll be able to decide.
One thing that's pretty cool with the transfer system is that within a 2 to 3 year period, you're going to be able to start from the peninsula and go all the way to Edmundston at a very, very low cost. You do have to pay $5 every time you switch zone, though, but you're still looking at like $15 to get, or $20 to get all the way down. So that's also interesting in terms of that.
Okay, I guess the, of course, for small rural areas, it's always the cost of the service versus the impact on the community in terms of a positive impact, but that's something we'll deal with later.
Well, if there's an interest, what I suggest, and there's no cost for that for you guys, is let's finalize the model a little bit. I may send you guys an email with some questions just to make sure I hit the good points and make sure I get your perspective of what's needed. We'll do a cost model and we'll schedule some time through Jocelyn and show you that, because of course it's the meat and potatoes of that, but we kind of wanted to show you a bit what we're talking about first. So that's that.
Yeah, and we'll present to Belbe tomorrow night. So in order to go forward with that phase, everybody has to get in. So we'll have to get them on board too.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
We're good?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. Appreciate it. Transportation is a very important topic to every community, regardless of the size. So appreciate that, and it's always about moving the football forward a little bit, right, until we finally make a decision on that. So thank you very much. All right, so we'll get back to the business of council and council presentations, and I'll start. I started with I said in August I was going to start in October having a sort of a monthly mayor's report. And so I'm going to start this month. I've got a few topics here. It's rather brief, but just some of the things that I was involved with in the past month, and also some acknowledgements of things that are happening in October. So the first one is small. It's the barbecue on Thursday evening. Over the weekend, we were in St. John, and one of the guest key speakers was Dr. John Dordan, who's the Minister of Health, who made a great presentation. And we've made some advancements on this file, and I think the council should be commended and administration should be commended for the advancement that we've made on this file. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to have closer community involvement with this. The community needs to take ownership of this, and I think this is perhaps one way to do it. So just wanted to mention the barbecue that is happening at the rec center, I believe, in 4 to 6. Counselor, if you want to.
Yeah, it's going to be a meet and greet of our 2 nurse practitioners, and there will also be upper management from Vitale, which will be there also. And the purpose is basically for the public to come and meet these nurse practitioners, and also an opportunity to basically extend a welcome to these individuals and welcoming them to our community. Because at the end of the day, we've done some reports and had some reports done, and it was, we always thought that maybe money talks, but we come to find out that on a scale of 1 to 10, that money was about in 9th position, and being part of the community was number 1. So at the end of the day, where we want to go is we want to make these nurse practitioners feel part of our community. These are going to be the people who are going to take care of our health needs. So we have decided that our medical center will not be a walk-in clinic. It's going to be a health center, and the reason for that, as I said in the report, will be because if you're a walk-in clinic, there are no records. The only exception to all of that, and it is vital that if you do not have a doctor or nurse practitioner, that you register on 811. So it is imperative. There'll be no exceptions from Vitale. That is how they assign the doctors and nurse practitioners. So keep in mind that that's how to get into our medical center through 811. But the other side is we extend a warm welcome to the public to come and meet the nurse practitioners and make them feel part of Beldoon. So we're looking forward to that. That's Thursday evening from 4 to 6 at the rec center. So I hope to see you there.
Anyone else?
Could I ask a question on that? Maybe I misread it.
Put your speaker on. There you go.
Sorry. Maybe I misread the Facebook announcement, but it said to come and meet the staff of the health clinic. But it did not specify that there is a new nurse practitioner there. So anyone that reads that or sees that has no idea that we are there to meet the nurse practitioners. Because if you're just talking about meeting the staff, the staff sometimes is not very welcoming. So I think that should be rectified, and that it should be stated that we are there to meet the 2 nurse practitioners.
Well, that is the goal. That is the main goal, to meet the 2 nurse practitioners. But by the same token, the staff will be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? And I will mention something also about Dr. Dornan with the UMNB as well. But I also want to, before I get to that, just mention that October is also Fire Prevention Month, and tomorrow the fire department has an event, I believe, at the fire station in Jacket River. So we always acknowledge our fire department when we can. What they do for our community is special, and so I would encourage everyone to, as much as they can, to possibly get out and support and to attend. Anyone else on council want to follow that up? Okay. The UMNB. So council attended the union, and basically it's the Union of New Brunswick Municipalities, and that was this weekend in St. John. And there were some really important, I thought this year, the depth of the presentations was as strong as it's what has been since I've been there. The main issue always seems to be, and rightfully so, the revenue streaming that municipalities can tap into. We're limited in terms of what revenues we can generate, and of course, those revenues that we generate allow us to provide services. So the UMNB is attempting to come up with a formula that they'll be able to present that perhaps the government of New Brunswick could find palatable, so that we can increase, at the very least, I don't think there's any taste for remaining where we are. I think the idea is that we need to increase revenues across the board so that we can continue to provide services or increase the quality of the services that we give. So that's an important issue and topic, but there are others as well. I thought that the depth was great. I love Dr. Dornan, who was there with the representative from the Horizon Network. And one of the things I noticed, and I commend Councillor Burke for having done so, he got up to the mic and he thanked Dr. Dornan. And I think the key for these conferences, and we've had some discussion as to whether or not they have value, that they absolutely have value if you network and connect with the ministers that are there and the people in high departments who can help you. If that doesn't take place, that's an important factor. You've got to be meeting and reaching out to people. If you're not doing that, then I still think there's value, but it becomes less. So I think that was important for us, and Dr. Dornan appreciated it. And I think Dr. Dornan is beginning to have a special place for the Village of Beldoon, because we reach out to him a lot, and we do so in the proper way. I also had a chance to speak with Premier Holt. I had a chance to speak with Minister Kennedy. Had a chance to speak with some of the deputy ministers that were there. And so that is an opportunity that I think the UMNB offers that some of the other conferences don't. So anyone else wishing to speak to that?
Yes, I feel these sessions are very important. And you also meet other communities, other villages, other cities, and have discussion with these people. And you see that we're all living the same things. And yes, and Dr. He was very good. He's such a calm person. He's nice to speak to. He speaks a language you understand. And all these sessions, you always come out with something new. Every year that I've gone, I know I come back and I'm thinking, oh, you know what, we could do this better, but maybe we could do that, better, or maybe we shouldn't do this or that. But I think that all these sessions are important, and to sit there and listen to all these people, it's great to be there. And I enjoy going to these sessions because, that's a big thing about council. You need to learn, and you need to move forward, and you need to know how to do it. And I think these sessions help you to do so.
Anyone else? All right. Moving on to the Truth and Reconciliation Healing Through Music event that took place a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was a really, really nice event. And again, it's about connections and networking and trying to form a friendship and a bond with not only with First Nations, of course, but with the other communities that were there and the other council members that were there. And have to remember, always keep in mind that they are, I'm speaking about Pabineau First Nation, and an economic development partner, a key economic development partner. And so every time we have the opportunity to form a connection with them, whether it's at an event or whether it's a conversation at a tournament or whatever it is, that is necessary because we have some key partnerships that I think we want to keep moving forward. And this is one way to do it. And because it is such an important national holiday and a chance for us to understand and appreciate and acknowledge a culture and a history that has added so much to our national fabric. So I just wanted to mention having attended that and having had the pleasure of attending it. Anyone else?
Me again. I feel networking, going to these events, and you see these people and you see them year after year, and they appreciate us attending to these, and there's, you create a connection. And these connections are good. I feel, you go there, you talk to the chiefs, you talk to the people around you. You may not know all their names, but they're always so welcoming. So, yes, that's just what I want to say on that.
Anyone else? Connected to that somewhat in terms of the economic developments was the announcement of Port of Baldoon and green energy in mid-month. And again, it's just to let people know, because I'm not sure, people in our community understand or realize how much work is being put in to economic development, not only by us and the role that we play, and we have, I think, a limited but very important role to play, but also with outside shareholders and shareholders within the community, such as the port, who are doing a tremendous job in setting up a future of economic development in the village that I'm not sure we've seen since perhaps the late 90s. And all of these things take time, but they also demand that the role that we play in that process is played properly. And again, thinking about all the shareholders, some that we've mentioned, like Chief Richardson, Denny Carroll, some of the others, many of the others, but specifically those two in this regard. They are really advocating for this village and doing their best on behalf of our village. And I believe, that the results of that work, that groundwork that has been years in the making, is going to show itself quite soon, manifest itself in terms of hard, visible, anecdotal economic development. And so I wanted to acknowledge that moment, because I think it's a special moment in terms of economic development in the village. Anyone else?
If I may, Your Worship, just a comment. Brad Mann is basically the public relations person for the Port of Baldoon, and does an outstanding job in representing Baldoon, not only the port but Baldoon. He attends every function that there is. He is a great ambassador. Has the attention of Denny Caron, and carries a tremendous amount of influence and experience and knowledge based on on his background. So there's no question that with Brad in that position, that he is an asset for us and a very powerful contact.
That's a great point. I didn't mention Brad Mann's name, but his name has to be mentioned because he attends every single event that he can. And he's such a great ambassador for the Port of Baldoon. So you're doing a terrific job, Brad, and we appreciate all the effort you are making in terms of developing a connection with the village. Anyone else? Okay, the last one for me is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So, everyone, I don't know if there are very many people on the face of the earth who haven't been directly or indirectly affected by the ravages of cancer. And so this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I mean, on a personal note, I'll be sorry. I think that was going to be tough. Yeah, I'll come back to it. I'll come back to that in a few moments when I'm a little bit more composed. Maybe Councilor Carmichael, you can do yours for now.
Yes, I just want to mention this because I think it's a milestone for our community and our village. I want to congratulate Councillor Romberg on being elected for the first Vice President of New Brunswick Command. That's a big hat to wear, and I just want to take a few minutes to congratulate you on that. I didn't have the new position because there's so many things in there, but you know, you work hard and you deserve this. And I want to thank you, you know, for stepping up on this and you know, thank you.
Anyone else?
If I may, Your Worship, you know, thank you very much for that. You know, I've been a member of the Legion here for 20 years. You know, our Legion is recognized throughout New Brunswick for its position in where it is. And our auxiliary is just, you know, a tremendous, tremendous asset for our Legion here. They do an outstanding job, and it is recognized throughout New Brunswick and in every Legion in New Brunswick. And, you know, we work hard here to maintain an image that we are a professional entity. And our Legion is very, very strategically planned. We have a very strong Legion, you know, and the fact that I was elected to this position by my peers for me is a great honor. I've already spoken with the president of New Brunswick Command, and he has asked me to take on what I consider the two most important portfolios, which is the Poppy for the Poppy Committee for the province of New Brunswick, and the membership for the province of New Brunswick. So those are two critical positions within our Legion, and I am honored to be elected, and I am honored that he had asked me to take on those portfolios. So at the end of the day, I believe it's a tribute to our Legion and how we perceive that we are perceived throughout New Brunswick. So I thank you for your comments, and believe me, it is a privilege for me to serve. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I just have an update about the food bank. We're still looking to relocate the food bank. We have reached out to many entities, and they're still searching as well. I will let you know that we now have a representative on the committee for the food banks that is run through the RCVA in Campbellton, and our representative is Susan Furlot. So if we reach out to her, and she will bring information back to us as well. But just letting everyone know that we are still hoping to relocate the food bank, hopefully by the winter months. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? So I'm going to try this again. I apologize to council and the public watching for that little breakdown there. So I'll try this again, but I may break down again. So, but anyway, So, yeah, in May of 2012, I'm sorry. Not sure I can get through this one, so try it the next meeting. Okay.
It's not easy losing somebody you love to cancer. I think each and every one of us has to deal with the difficult times. I understand what you're going through. I guess, when I know I lost my husband 3 years ago, and that wasn't an easy battle, but, it's, take it one day at a time, and that's what you have to do, I guess.
And again, I apologize. I really didn't think it was going to be that tough, but you're right. And it's just to bring, it's not to bring awareness to my personal situation. It's just, it's an important acknowledgement. And so I hope everyone out there does so this month. And I'll try it again next month or at the next meeting. So I appreciate everyone's patience and understanding. So I guess we can move on to CLB.
Thank you, Mr. I'm sorry, did we skip over one? Let's go back to Marilyn.
I apologize. You know what,
Structure?
I'll just, yeah, I'll move on to that one next month, or at the beginning of the next meeting. Yeah, I'll just move it to the next one. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I just would like to update everyone about an age-friendly community. We had a presentation on September 15th with Brenda Lee and her partner, and they represent the age-friendly active committee or communities in New Brunswick. And let me explain what this is. It was who developed and supports the Age-Friendly Community Initiative. It started by the World Health Organization and is collaboration with Public Health Agencies of Canada. The age-friendly communities were established in 2007 and continue to be supported by both organizations today. What is an age-friendly community? An age-friendly community is designed to promote health, well-being, and quality of life for older adults, which contributes to the overall well-being of the entire community. One of its key components is the fact that the citizens help to identify what is needed in their communities and then provided the opportunity to create change. It is facilitated by citizens and other stakeholders. It is grassroots preventative approach that improves life today while building a stronger future. Becoming an age-friendly community offers a wide range of benefits. It enhances quality of life, social inclusion, as overall, the age-friendly communities are vibrant, inclusive, and resilient, providing a better quality of life for all residents. Even simple changes make a big difference. That being said, there are several steps for our community to become one. And the very first one, the village or the council will have to pass a resolution, and I will bring that forward at the regular meeting of this month. And after that is done, the community will establish an age-friendly committee, which includes citizens and other stakeholders with recommendations to include a member of council or municipal staff. Other reasons to consider our community: healthy aging starts now to ensure a more vibrant tomorrow. New research shows isolation can shorten a person's life as much as smoking. We are facing a society shift in which many people remain disconnected in an increasing digital world. Transportation barriers can significantly negatively impact a person's quality of life. Moral and societal obligations to recognize the invaluable contributions that older adults make to our community. Their wisdom, experience, and hard work enrich our lives in countless ways. Despite progress, ageism continues to be tolerated in today's society. Elder abuse affects 1 in 10 seniors, okay? So that being said, the average age in Beldoon, I understand, is 57. I didn't realize it was that, but that's apparently what it is. And right now we have Daryl Culligan, our Rec and Wellness Coordinator, who's put together many programs to help move our community towards becoming an age-friendly community. Although we may hit some obstacles, we will definitely move towards putting our community on the map in New Brunswick as an age-friendly community. Any questions?
Any questions, council? No? Well, thank you for that, Marilyn. Or I should say, Deputy Mayor. And yeah, obviously, you know, we've, and 57 sounds about right. Because I think the last time I put it in Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is not always spot on, but I think they came back. This is when I was in last council, I think it was 55 then, so it would not surprise me that it's a little bit older. So, you know, we need to start providing, and I think we do okay, maybe even better than okay. I'm not sure how you measure that, but I'm sure there's room for improvement, right? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, if council would mind, I'd like to try it one more time. And I think this time I can get through it. Anyway, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and yes, my sister Mary Teresa passed away in 2012 of breast cancer, and I think one of the big issues was just not seeing a doctor early enough. And so early detection is absolutely key. And as I said, it's cancer is something that you know, impacts us all. I don't think there's anybody who's an adult who can say that it hasn't. And it's unbelievable, and unfortunate at the same time that we've been struggling with this for 50 plus years, 60 plus years, and we seem to make some headway, and then we tend to fall back. But it's an absolute must that I think we continue to try and win this fight against cancer. So on a personal note, it's sort of memory of my sister and all of those who have fought cancer and will fight cancer. I plan on writing a Facebook poem, and I will try desperately to get it out before the end of the month. It's something I'm doing from scratch, and it's going to be, obviously, if you've seen the meeting tonight, the toughest probably piece of writing I've ever done, but it's going to be the most meaningful too. So with that, this month I think we need to acknowledge Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so thank you again for your patience and allowing me to get through that. And I guess I will wait. And I did have one more. It's shared infrastructure, but that can wait till another time. So thank you. Seo Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and well done. Only item for me is we need a directive from council for our PMHP program. So as council is aware, this is the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership. We have met council collectively with staff, meeting Roy Consultants on developing this. We have had infrastructure upgrades done in Beldoon over the last couple of years, so we do need to add to the plan. So there was a stretch of highway that was identified by council on the next sort of sequential phases that we're going to do. When that stretch of highway was taken by Roy's Consultant and they broke it up over 3 phases, Just for anyone watching, it was a 5-year plan. It's now been reduced down to a 3-year plan. So when Roy Consultants took a look at the next 3 years, it did put each phase kind of above the recommendation of what PMHP suggests that municipalities do. They generally encourage municipalities to have each phase between a $1 to $1.5 million cost, which will allow for them to contribute financially and spread out some of the funding. When we broke that into 3 phases, Roy Consultants did find that we were looking at closer to a $2.3 to $2.5 million per phase. So what we're looking for here is just what way does council want to go? Do we want to maintain the 3-year phase, or do we want to stretch it out over 5 years? Obviously, it would take longer to do the stretches of road, but you're probably going to be more favorable for funding. The PMHP plan does need to be submitted to the province, so Roy Consultants needs direction on which way to go.
Okay, so, council?
I feel the 5-year plan, as I sent on my email, works better for us because of the funding. I feel that we should try to get the funding as much as we can. We don't want to take it and risk it and then we refuse the money. I don't know, they'll probably give us an amount, but not as much as we would need. So I'm in favor of the 5-year plan.
Anyone else?
I looked at both as well, and I thought the 5-year was good, but when I look at the 3-year, I'm considering the impact that it's going to have in the community. If we stretch it out to 5 years, we're looking at 5 years of road maintenance or road work, as opposed to 3 years of road work. I know there's a pricing difference, but I would think strongly about the 3-year, considering that, yes, it's going to cause some friction within the community.
Just keep in mind, so just a couple of nuances. So the phases are only done if we receive, DTI has to approve the funding for it, right? But the idea is that this is actually perpetual. Ideally, you're always doing sections of road, you're constantly upgrading them. So there was definitely a big break. We did one section, we were approved for funding in 2018. We weren't approved for funding again until last year. So we do know that we've got funding for last year, this year, and next year. And we're looking to add, so I get what you're saying, you want to make it a little bit less disruptive for the citizens. But the idea with submitting the plans in perpetuity is that you're always going to get funding and always have road upgrades happening. So just a little bit of clarity on that.
Anyone else?
If I may, Your Worship, when you look at paving, all we have to do is look at the history. If I turn the clock back 5 years from this year, asphalt has taken a tremendous amount of cost increase. That's why, for me, it's one thing to say we do not have the capital to be able to finance a 3-year program, because I do recognize that our agreement with the province is that we would pay 15% of the cost affiliated with that. So on $1.5 million project, we're looking at what, 200,000, give or take. However, that's still well within our capital expenditure, that's in our capital fund, and that we're able to utilize. I believe we could utilize that funding to finance those projects. So, at the end of the day, yes, we would spend more money, and we are planning for the next council, because this will all be done in the future, and the next council will be here at that time. But I don't believe we're going to save money by extending it over 5 years. I believe the best approach for Beldoon is to implement a 3-year program where we have the financing and the ability to do that, and see where DTI or the province allocates us to move forward. So that's my opinion.
Any other councils, members? wish to speak, so.
Yeah, I would agree with Ron on that. Price of asphalt's not going down, that's for sure. So it's, and I think the province recognizes that as well, that it's, if you're putting in 2 million now, it's gonna double in 3 years. So it's, the bigger chunks we can get done, you know, you're talking about a half a kilometer in a 3-year plan, right? So it's, yeah, it's getting expensive.
So you have what you need. All right, thank you. So with that, we come to the motion to adjourn.
M 2025-1006-107, that the meeting is adjourned at 8:25.
Seconded?
I'll second.
On the motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.